Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my channel. My name is Tom LaHue. We're going to be looking at type 8s today, and we're looking at Beatrice Chestnut's book, The Enneagram Guide to Waking Up, and we're going to be looking at what she calls key patterns, and she has 5 of these for type 8s. And today we're going to be focused on the first one, which is the need to be in charge. So, if you're a type 8, does that resonate with you, the need to be in charge? Or let's say it this way, maybe sometimes you have difficulty when other people who are incompetent try to take charge of you. Or how do you feel when no one is in charge, when there's no clear leader? Do you feel a certain level of anxiety or frustration if you are part of a group or an organization that's supposedly trying to get things done and no one really takes responsibility or leadership? Do you just kind of jump in and fill that vacuum? Do you end up the person in charge even if you're not intending to be that person? Let's look and see what she says and let's talk about it. She says, you probably have a history of assuming either formal or informal leadership roles. I think sometimes 8s might aspire to be leaders, but sometimes you just kind of end up the de facto leader because other people are sort of sitting on their hands. You know, this whole idea of indecision. Now, I'm in the thinking group, 7, wing 6, and I can feel that indecision at times where I can weigh out all the scenarios and possibilities, and sometimes I have a hard time coming to a conclusion and making a decision and then operating that decision. So I might leave events sort of open-ended on my calendar, trying to decide, you know, on my to-do list. And I think that could be very frustrating to an 8, is let's make a decision, let's move forward, let's take action. But sometimes it's good sometimes it's good both ways, you know. I mean, there are times when we need to just stop talking about it, we need to stop analyzing it, and we need to just move forward and take action. There's other times when maybe we should slow down and pause and think about all the possible scenarios and how it will affect everybody involved. So I think balance on that is key. And I know as a 7 wing 6, I need to lean into that 8 a little bit more and know when I know enough to make a decision, know when I know enough to move forward, because indecision can really become a challenge to leadership. It's hard to follow somebody who's not sure where they're going. And as an 8, do you tend to just end up the de facto leader because you're willing to make a decision? You're willing to say, well, some direction, a clear direction, even if it's not 100% perfect, we can adjust that later. And, you know, when you are willing to step up to the plate and make a decision and move forward, other people are often willing to follow that. They'll get behind you and say, well, I don't know what to do, but, you know, Sherry looks like she knows what she's doing, so I'll just get in there behind that and support that. Your professional life, your personal life, without knowing exactly how or why. So you end up the leader not knowing exactly how or why. Just people start looking to you and they start asking you, do you think we should set up the tables over here? Do you think we should put the flowers on the tables over here? And you might be thinking to yourself, why do you guys keep coming to me with all these questions? Oh my goodness, just figure it out. But, you know, I think a lot of us hesitate in that sort of place of indecision. You know, one of the hallmarks of being an 8 is you decided as a child, I just can't sit here worried about what am I going to do and is it okay and do I have permission. I'm just going to make the daggone grilled cheese sandwich, and if somebody has a problem that I use the oven, I'm sorry, what was I supposed to do? I had to make a sandwich. And so you just made this decision like, screw this, I'm just going to go with what I think makes sense to me. And a lot of us hesitate with that. Like, you know, we've done that and then we got our hands slapped and we said, oh, okay, well, I can't do that anymore. So what do you think? Does this make sense to you? Okay. All right. While you would likely say you don't always feel the need to be in charge, when you sense a power vacuum, in other words, nobody's stepping up, nobody's taking leadership, or maybe the wrong people. Maybe it's obvious to you like the wrong people are in the leadership position, people who do not really have in mind the the things that are best for others, but they're just, aspiring to leadership for their own sake or because they psychologically need to be a person in leadership. So when you sense a power vacuum, do you end up sort of stepping in and filling that even if you don't want to? Just like somebody's got to do something. Oh my goodness, we can't sit here and spin around in circles asking each other, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about this? Okay. When you sense a power vacuum that needs to be filled, do you readily step up? And I imagine that's probably not always true. There might be sometimes when you just like, peace out, I'm out of here, I don't want to be a part of this. Oh my goodness, those people don't know what they're doing, or the wrong person's in charge. I'm not being a part of that. I'm not going to sign up for that. The 8s have a natural talent for taking the lead. What a great quality. What a great quality. I've worked with some 8s in the past, and I noticed that. Like, I was the first one to point out to them, man, you have this gift of leadership. Like, you just move people forward. People look to you. They want to know what to do. And what a fantastic gift. I mean, what a fantastic role. The rest of us are kind of like working at being leaders, trying hard to be more decisive, trying hard to be more commanding. I know I have a hard time like commanding people. I appreciate it when somebody gives me clear instructions and even gives me clear commands. Do this, not that. Do it like this. Do it not like that. And a lot of 1s and 8s tend to operate this way, but I have a hard time personally being that, commanding to other people. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't want to come across like an authoritarian. But yet I recognize and appreciate like every company, every organization needs that person who will take responsibility, take leadership, and give orders and give instructions. So you're definitely needed. What you bring to the table is fantastic. I guess I would just say if you can moderate that a little bit and not become, overly frustrated or irritated or gripey, complainy, or, destructive, because as you see people's weaknesses and you see them not stepping up to the plate or not taking responsibility, you could, sort of go for the jugular and destroy those people. And as long as you're not doing that, be that leader. Please take that leadership role. You probably are going to end up there anyway. And so if you just willingly accept this rather than resist it, and then go with that, like if that's your strength, go with it and just decide, okay, I have this ability, I have this willingness, or I should say I have this ability, I need to work on my willingness to use this. It's something maybe you don't even realize you have. You don't even think about it. You just make decisions and move forward, and you have this boldness or confidence that causes people to rally around behind you or with you. 8s, you guys are a part of the relationship group, 8s, 2s, and 5s. And that might surprise you, but if you do any real digging or investigating in the Enneagram, you'll see that 8s, 2s, and 5s are the relationship types. 2s, it's obvious. They're like moving toward people to connect with them. 5s move away from people in order to see the relationships between things that may not be obvious. And 8s move with people in order to accomplish a task or accomplish a goal. And when I say with people, it's often like with people, but a little bit in front of them. Sort of like, come on, guys, let's take this hill. We could do this. We could accomplish this. And what a great gift. What a great role to serve. And you may find that you have a hard time just being on a team. It might be good for you to join a team and not allow yourself to take leadership and allow yourself or force yourself to just be one of the regular people on the team. That might be healthy for you. But ordinarily, I would say chances are you're going to end up that person, whether you want to or not, who's taking responsibility, taking ownership and taking leadership, and you probably know that about yourself, and it may keep you from being willing to sign up because you're exhausted. You get exhausted. It's like that when you join this committee, you're just going to end up leading it. You might end up very frustrated too, because sometimes when you join these committees, your help isn't always appreciated. People might take you as larger than life or as domineering, and you're just being yourself, and they're not understanding. And you may realize, like, I can't join these stupid teams because it always ends up bad. You know, I just speak my mind. I can't be one of these people who just plays around and acts like nothing's going on. And so you speak your mind, and then you end up, you know, sort of ostracized from the village. And so it can be hard sometimes for 8s to just be one of those people on a team. And you may realize, like, I just can't serve, or I just can't be involved, or I have a hard time just serving or being involved. Because if I'm not in charge of it and leading it, then I end up getting in trouble. I end up, you know, upsetting the powers that be. Okay. What else does she say? You naturally are assertive and courageous in your style of leadership. And one of the names for the 8 is the boss. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, again, we all need that person to serve in that role. Just make sure that we are a conscientious, thoughtful boss, you know, a loving and caring boss, and that we come across that way. Whether because you want to be or because you want to make sure someone is capable, is in charge, okay? You have a tendency to want to direct what's happening, and you can do this either skillful or in a confident way or in a bossy or pushy way. Yeah, and of course people appreciate it when it's in a skillful, articulate way, and that probably just means slowing down a little bit. Just slowing down a little bit, making sure you're listening and hearing other people's input, evaluating that. And really, what am I talking about? I'm talking about, you know, under stress, 8s have that line to 5. In other words, when things aren't going so well, 8s could look a little bit like a 5. One of the ways that that's true is withdrawing and thinking things over. So what if you just did that willingly? Before you take action, what if you think about it in these terms? Before I end up withdrawing to this 5 place, what if I do it intentionally? And before I throw out there what needs to be done, why don't I take a second and withdraw, think this through a little bit? In other words, get out of my body, come up into my head, sort, plan, and think through my agenda a little bit and how it might affect others and how it might be perceived by others. You know, just briefly, just take a second, pause for a minute, think things through, and then come forward with that bold initiative. I think you'll be happier, and the people around you will probably appreciate that little bit of pause, and also that 9 wing of just sort of leaning into that, I don't need to be in charge of everything or every aspect of this. You know, I just need to be the point person out in front, and then I need to have some commanders or some generals or some captains or something with me, and I don't need to direct everything about this. I certainly don't need to criticize everyone else's way of doing things. All right, I hope this is helpful for you. Appreciate you 8s, and thank you for what you bring to the table, and as always, be present to life.